Hello.
Hello.
Hey Stan, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good afternoon. There's some students over here. Do you want to say hello? Hi. There's lots of them. It's good. It's a bit meta, but we've got you up on a screen over here, but you can't quite see.
Okay.
But if you looked at it, it might like lure you into the vortex, like Inception. So we'll keep you away from it. And Ben Jones has just walked in there. Ben?
Right, Stan.
Ben says hello.
Hi, Beth.
The game was rubbish last night, wasn't it? It was awful.
Ben's not happy with the game.
I like the first half.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Ben's being cheeky. So my name's Matthew. Could you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Chow. I'm an illustrator and I'm in Manchester.
Smashing. Yeah, we've got some Manchester posse in here. They've made their way over the Pennines to join us. And can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Well, yeah, I'm an illustrator and I mainly draw faces, but I do other stuff. You know, I work for magazines, ads. I think they're the ones that mainly ad editorial illustration and illustrations for adverts and marketing things and stuff.
And you've been practicing for quite a while now, is that right?
Yeah, I'd say about 20 years now.
Right, amazing. So where did you study? Where were you a student?
Well, I studied at Manchester first. I did my foundation in Manchester, and I ended up doing a HND in Swindon,
Right.
down south. And then after that, 2 years there, I moved back up to Manchester.
Okay. And I mean, we're just having a look at the moment at your online sort of folio. It's like so prolific. It's insane. But I wonder, does your work always looks like this?
I think I got my Tumblr or your website.
On your website.
Right, but if you go on my Tumblr,
Yeah.
well, I basically used to paint, you see.
Oh, right. Okay.
And it got to a point where I could see technology taking over. I could see people sending pictures by email. I think I need to get onto that, basically. I mean, like, there used to be a time when I did a painting and then I had to call a courier to pick up a picture. They'll have to take it to a place in London. It needs to be photographed. And the whole process took 2 days, basically.
Yeah.
Where now it's like, you just draw a picture on and then just ping it on via email.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I suppose, am I right in thinking all your images here are like completely digital?
Yeah, pretty much so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm winging ahead here, Stan. I'm sorry. I'm going to just ask you. Just got having a look at this website. It's incredible. But I want to ask you a little bit about where you are in that space. Is that a studio that you're sat in?
Yeah, this is my studio. Like, I'll give you a little quick. There.
Nice.
Through that door is the print shop where all my printing stuff is, and then this is where Dawn, my assistant, normally sits, but she's out on a post office run.
Right. Okay.
Then there's my TV. Oops, I can't go that far. But yeah.
No, that's good. That's more than we get usually. That's brilliant. Thanks, man. I could do the same, but all we'd get is like more students and then a wall. Okay, phew. I thought I just pulled out the plug then. Okay. So you're in that studio and you mentioned a print shop. So is that another facet of your kind of practice? Oh no, hang on. What have we done? Hey, hello? No. How's that? Stan, can you hear us?
I can still see you.
Okay. I'm so sorry. Suddenly, we totally lost all the sound. I should have mimed something to you. It looked like the thing you were saying was really interesting, but I was panicking and like pushing all the plugs back in what we've got here. So can we try that again? I'm so sorry. Can you tell us about the print shop side of your business?
Well, about 7 years ago, a bit of feedback now. About 7 years ago, I was just starting getting loads of emails, basically, and I was getting more emails about people wanting my images than actual commissions, basically. and it ended up kind of okay. I'll put up it's when I started using social media like Twitter and Tumblr and stuff like that. And basically, people found my email address and said, "Oh, we want your pictures," basically.
Yeah.
And that's how the print shop started, really. And it's kind of carried on from there. I used to start on a really crappy A3 printer, but now I've got quite a big setup there.
So what you're providing people is like high quality digital printed versions of your artwork.
Yeah.
And what's the sort of stuff that really seems to work well? Is there a reason why you think people come to your work?
Well, I kind of appeal to quite a vast group of people, really. Because I draw a lot of footballers, and I have a big football following. And there's a lot of people that like my footballers. I also illustrate lots of kind of like celebrities and stuff like that, and people love celebrities, especially when they die. So as soon as one dies, and I've done one already, it's like the email. Ding, ding, ding. I also do loads of pictures of buildings in Manchester,
right?
And they seem to sell quite a lot as well, basically. So everyone seems to have a fondness, of kind of like buildings, really. So they sell quite a lot as well, actually.
It's funny. My dad's got he's got one of your Mulligan and O'Hares in his hallway.
Oh, right there.
But it's like I think what you're tapping into is like the zeitgeist. It's like those aspects of popular culture that resonate with people. And is that something that you've always been drawn to? Have you always been into like? I don't know, like is football and sci-fi and TV like a big part of your life anyway?
Yeah, pretty much so. I probably spent all my life watching TV and drawing pictures, basically, and anything that comes off the TV screen ends up kind of like, right, I have to draw that, basically, So that's always been my life, since I was a kid. It's just I mainly just drew faces, basically, and caricatures of people from literally. As soon as we draw, really, and just carried on, really, basically.
So, I've seen a lot of your work online and in print, and it seems like you're very in demand. Like, it seems like you're very busy. What do you think it is about your output that appeals so much to art directors and advertisers?
I think one is probably that I can, I have a success rate, I think, in terms of getting the likeness of someone, which is quite high, I reckon. I'll score myself around about 90%. Like I get the likeness. Sometimes I miss it completely, but most times it's like they'll know if they hire me, they'll get the likeness, and they'll know they'll get it in a day's time. Basically, I can work because of the clients I've worked with. It's obvious that like I can do a job overnight, basically.
That's interesting.
And I can deliver quickly, and I can get the likeness right. And
so
I think that's pretty much why I'm in demand, really.
Do you think that clients come back to you not just because of the quality of the work, but because of the speed with which you can turn it around?
I think it's a bit of both, really. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
And I kind of, you get a lot of clients who are like, oh shit, we need something right now, and then okay, we'll call, and basically a lot of the times they'll ring the agent first, and they say, do you know an illustrator who's got a quick turnaround? And literally they'll always point to me because I can do things really quickly.
Yeah, sure. But then on the flip side, I wonder, do you ever make pieces of work that you invest more time in? Are there certain things whether it's like personal project or you're trying to push things, do you ever like find yourself working longer on something or trying something else with it? Or
I used to a lot, actually, when I had more time, but now I've reached a point in my career where I simply don't have that time to be able to invest on a bigger project, and it's also because I spend, I'm quite, my brain's conditioned now to actually just get a job done quickly as possible, basically, or just can't cope with anything.
Yeah.
I can't cope with looking at a picture for more than a day, basically. I get bored really quickly.
That's amazing. And is that because you've developed? If we could talk a little bit about how you make pictures, is that because you've developed like a filter or a system for making work?
I don't. Ooh, yeah, well, my system is. I don't really have a system actually. It's literally just kind of turn on the computer, and basically what's in my head just goes onto the screen now. You mean it's like I mean I used to kind of sketch and stuff like that, but I've tried to get rid of that process of sketching. I mean, like, it wasn't something I consciously did, but it's just something I thought. But it just became easy for me just to work directly onto a computer without sketching.
That's
And I
amazing.
just have the image in my head and literally go bang. That's how I work now.
So on the screen at the moment, we're looking at a portrait you've done of Pharrell, and it says "The Wearer of Many Hats." I think this is
Right.
for. Is this
Variety magazine.
right? Okay. So that image, are you telling me that there was no drawing involved in making that image? That was you just. How did you make that image?
I mean, well, basically what I did was I typed in Pharrell Google Images, so therefore you get like a whole screen of little Pharrells basically, and I kind of I take in his face, just I'll look at all the pictures of Pharrell, I'll kind of absorb his image in my head, and then I'll convert that into kind of like shapes on vectors basically, and just plot out the points on Illustrator.
Amazing. And when you've got them as vectors, is there a secondary process of like transforming them or like warping them, or do you spend a bit of time fiddling with like the values of colour? Or I mean,
every now and again I'll fiddle around with the values of colour, but the thing I fiddle around with most is it's the positioning of the nose and the mouth and stuff basically. It's like that's the essence of getting the likeness basically.
Right.
It's just you either move the eyes closer in or further up or whatever. And to a certain degree, most faces they're pretty similar in terms of like you got 2 dots for eyes, like a line for a mouth, a triangle for a nose. If you break it down to those small things,
Yeah.
you can literally, if you move them around enough, you can make anyone's face basically.
It's crazy. You make it sound so simple, man. I mean, simplicity is another thing that I think really stands out in your work. I mean, do you feel like you are constantly like trying to reduce things down? I mean, I suppose maybe a better question would be, for you, what makes all these portraits that we're looking at? What are the ones that you are really proud of? That you think, yeah, I really nailed it that time. That's a great portrait.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. My favourite ones are the ones that I use as little shapes as possible, basically. But sometimes that's because the person's face lends itself to that.
Yeah.
You can literally just do 2 dots for eyes and stuff like that. But like if there's a Bruce Lee and a Woody Allen there somewhere,
Right.
they're literally just kind of pretty simple shapes, and I managed to kind of get their likenesses without too much detail.
Yeah.
But you're right. The less detail, the happier I am.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. I mean, the other thing I'm interested in, I'm looking at this Donald Trump thing for New York Times. That's quite an interesting image on the balloon. Can you tell us a bit more about that project? Was that a collaboration, perhaps? Or?
Yeah, it was a collaboration with a photographer called Jason Chow, and basically I got a phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning. The art director from New York Times said, "We've got an idea, for the cover of our, this is about a year ago now."
Right.
And we've got an idea, and it says like we just want a picture of Donald Trump on a balloon. And okay, so I ended up. So I did one picture of Donald Trump. They kind of just printed it onto a balloon. They blew it up and took a photograph of it. And it says, "We like it, but we want it to kind of the image of Donald Trump to curve around the balloon as much as possible."
Right.
So I ended up doing about 20 different Donald Trumps of different sizes, and like to try and make it work around the balloon.
Yeah.
And then they took about 500 photographs and then picked the best photograph.
That's
and it ended up on the cover.
Yeah.
It was kind of like it was like a 3-day project. It was like everyone was kind of. I mean, the actual balloon was actually made. It wasn't a Photoshop job. They literally kind of took all the images, sent it to a balloon manufacturer. They pressed out all the balloons,
Yeah.
and then they all got blown up with helium, and then got taken to the studio, and the picture was taken.
It's amazing. It's a really great project. And I think it's interesting to see your work applied to stuff. I mean, seeing so much of it on screen, I mean, the portraits are like they're so engaging and immediate. But I mean, have you done any other stuff where your work has been like applied to like packaging or animation or worked outside of print?
Yeah, I mean, like I've done in Manchester. We have this Get Me There card. It's like an Oyster card basically, and I've done all the kind of marketing illustrations for that basically. But we also did a 3-minute animation as well, which was pretty good, you know. So my work has been in using animation. I've got these handily. These little things.
Nice.
Like these are things that did the White Stripes, like for their Icky Thump album, about 7 or 8 years ago,
So
and yeah, they got printed onto. I mean, like the albums on these little USB sticks. They made 333 each of these, and yeah, that's when it's been, yeah, that's something else that my work's been used.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, and are they the things that? Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm making assumptions, but what are the projects that you find really satisfying when they're all done and dusted? What are the things that you think? Yeah, that was a good one. I enjoyed doing that.
I think, yeah, I was asking myself the same question earlier on today. It's like I was thinking if the client, if I need a client more than they need me, then generally I feel happy about doing those kind of jobs. Basically, you mean like for example, there's like I mean like this White Stripes job. You know what I mean? It was like Jesus Christ, yeah.
Yeah.
I need you guys. You mean I need this job to kind of to accelerate my career? They're the kind of jobs that give me the biggest satisfaction, really. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's weird. It's more. It's quite a vain thing, really. You know. And like you know, if Nike come calling, yeah, I need to work for you, Nike. You know.
Yeah.
One, it pays the bills, and two, it's like it's massive exposure, basically.
Yeah.
They're the ones that kind of get a buzz out of because you're also nervous about you need to nail it, you need to get it right, and when I feel there's more pressure in getting it right, I kind of have more fun actually doing it, basically.
Yeah.
More satisfaction in working for that client.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I noticed what you're saying. I was just wondering, like, as we're sat in a room full of students, it's interesting talking to someone who's been practicing commercially for so long. But do you think there are things that are crucial to your practice now that you figured out quite early on that are still really valuable, like lessons or kind of ways of doing things that you are still doing now that you were doing 20 years ago that you would, and almost like good advice that you could give yourself from when you were a student?
I mean, the main, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still feel I'm winging it, really. You mean, I don't understand how I've got here. You mean, I've realised now I'm pretty successful in terms of what I do, but I still don't really know. I can't really give you like a formula and how I got here, other than I just illustrate things that I like illustrating, basically. I mean, I'll say, even though I've been working for 20 years, I'll say for the first 10 years of my career, I was illustrating things that I was advised to illustrate, like, you know, like, yeah, if you illustrate more objects, if you illustrate more fruits and stuff and vegetables, you'll get some editorial jobs for like Sainsbury's magazine. But I don't want to be in Sainsbury's magazine, you know, but I'll get work.
Yeah.
But what I realised was like the jobs I really wanted when I was a kid was I want to be on the TV listings, you know, where you get a little caricature in the corner of the best show of the week. That's what I wanted to do. So the only way to actually get those jobs is actually do those things. Do you know what I mean? I'll do the pictures that will end up being there. And if you do enough of it, people will notice you, basically.
Yeah.
It's when you start doing other stuff that you think might get you more work, but that kind of, you spread yourself too thin, basically. I've always felt like focusing on what you really want to do, that will eventually get you the work that you'll actually want to get, as opposed to just getting work basically.
Yeah, sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's relevant to students because, you know, we're talking about like picking briefs and the fact that we can make images of anything, but it's still a matter of like, why are you making that image? Where's it come from? What's the substance within it? what do you find still like frustrating or challenging about being an illustrator?
Probably pricing. I think everyone finds that difficult.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, because now we live in a situation where the client doesn't actually come directly to us. The client normally goes to like a design agency basically, and basically like they have to give a quote basically, and then we have to give the design agency a quote. And normally the issue is like the design agency will ask a whole bunch of illustrators and they'll take the illustrators with the best quote basically.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, it's understandable, but it means you have to kind of play the cat and mouse games. Is like how high can I get away with before they decide they're going to go with someone else?
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Was there a point when you stopped being polite about asking for money?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I literally go now. It's like, look, tell me how much money you got, and I'll say yay or nay. Basically,
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not going to start kind of like second guessing how much money you've got. You just let me know. You know what I mean? This kind of practice from design agencies became more common after the recession, basically.
Yeah.
Before the recession, they were literally like, here's a few £1,000s. Can you just do this for us? Fine, you know. But since the recession in 2008, they've been a bit more cagey, basically.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, this is all good stuff, Stan. I was wondering if there's anyone on the floor who might have a question for Stan. I'm just surprising him with this now. Okay, thanks,
No
guys. Oh, yeah, we've got a question.
So who influences you? Like, what other illustrators or artists do you look to?
I don't know if you heard that, but Kim was wondering, do you have your own influences? Are there other artists or illustrators making work that excite you or you're kind of impressed by?
Yeah, what I do, there's, every day, I'm on Instagram every day, and there's like, Jesus Christ, how old is this kid? 19. I might as well give up, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, every day there's people, you know, on Instagram or Tumblr or whatever is producing work which just kind of, there's so many people now,
Yeah.
I can't even keep up basically, you know. Don't get me wrong, like, back in the day, I mean, I had a few favourite illustrators, like Mike Mignola, who's a comic artist, and Bill Sinkovich, who's another
Yeah.
comic artist. But
Mike Minola's doing a lecture here in a few weeks' time.
oh wow, cool!
Yeah, it should be
Amazing.
good fun. But I mean, that leads on. Do you think that there's a formula for what makes illustration really, really fantastic? Like, what's the difference between just illustration and that stuff that really you see as like fantastic?
I think it's probably something that I just can't do myself. Basically, you know,
Yeah.
I can't. It's like holy shit! How do you do that? You know, and I think they're the kind of illustrators that kind of make me go wow, really. And
Yeah.
also, you get some good illustrators who are technically really poor, but they've got this amazing ability to for composing images. Basically, you know, the use of kind of type and shapes and whatever. You know, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I can say like you're shit at drawing, but why is this image so good?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you just can't explain that. You know.
That's really, really good. I know just what you're talking about, but that's a nice. I might type that out as a banner and put it up in the studio because that is the myth, isn't it? Like, and that's what we're trying to figure out on this program. You know, that image making and drawing aren't necessarily mutual things.
No.
Thanks, Stan. Do you have any advice you would give to a bunch of first-year students on an illustration course?
Well, yeah, something I said earlier before is just do what you love doing and don't do what you think will get you work. Do what you want to do. Like imagine where you want to be in 20 years and just concentrate on that goal, basically. You know, that's what I would advise.
All right, that's nice. And have you got any plans for tomorrow? What are you going to be up to?
I'm working on a wine label tomorrow, so
Oh.
that's what I'm be working on.
Do you feel like you have any space to like evolve what you're doing or take risks, or are you so bombarded with work that it's about making a product?
Well, what I've discovered about my work is I've kind of evolved from what I do anyway. What I do evolve, and it's a natural evolution as opposed to a conscious evolution. It's been, I mean, like every time I do a new picture, you kind of get more experience anyway, and you recognise a few mistakes you made on a previous picture, and then you apply those little mistakes onto your next picture. Basically, that's what I generally try to do. Basically, you know, if I accidentally do something, use a really nice filter for one picture, then I'll try and apply it to more pictures. Basically, it's all about accident, really. You know,
This is absolute gold. This is what I've been saying today, but it sounds better when Sam says it, doesn't it? Thanks, mate. Well, I think we'll tie it up there. It's been really nice to meet you and to see your studio and hear a bit about what you work. Does anyone else want to say anything to Stan before we say thank you? Oh, Ben Jones has got a question back there.
Just a little bit about these little studying leads. And I know Manchester's quite important to you, but it is to me as well. So could you tell us a bit about why Manchester's important and what's the difference to work as an illustrator in London?
Did you hear that?
That might be a bit of a critical question, but
So Ben was saying, like he's interested in like your relationship with Manchester and how that's influenced your work and why it's important to you as opposed to being a London-based illustrator.
well, I feel in Manchester you got more time to breathe. You know, like because we're not paying rent 10 times more expensive. You know, like in London is like once you move to London, you need to find another job. Basically, you'll be finding a job behind a bar just to pay the rent, and you won't have enough time to actually focus on illustrating. Basically, whilst I've been up in Manchester, like when I've lived for all my life, like I've done little part-time jobs, mainly DJing really, but that's just given me time to when I've had no work on to illustrate. But when you're in London, you know, any spare time you have to find enough money to pay your bills and pay the rent. You know, and that's the issue. I think that's why I didn't move down to London really.
Yeah.
I felt I've evolved more as an artist in Manchester than because I've just spent more hours in my spare time. You know, you know, I don't have to be looking for money every hour of the day.
Yeah. And
time is just spent illustrating, basically. I mean, another advice would be like, you know, it's like if your kids want to kind of evolve quicker, just stay at home. Don't think about moving to London yet, because the thing is, you don't need to move to London. We've got email, we've got internet. So, I mean, like, yeah, move to London for the social, just like for hanging out and stuff. If that's what you feel you need, but as an illustrator, you don't need these things. I don't think you just need to just draw more and or illustrate more, basically. And I don't think you get the time to do that in London.
Yeah, for sure, man. Great stuff. All right, that's great stuff, Dan. Thanks very much.
Okay, nice one.
It's been really nice meeting you, and some really, really lovely things we discussed. Should we say goodbye and thank you to Stan? Cheers, thanks, mate. I'll be in touch.
Okay, nice one. Cheers, mate.
Have a nice evening. Cheers, mate. Ta-ra.
See you.